Who knows?
But
Maybe
again,
some of them
Matt
will come
Walsh,
home and they'll say, "Hey,
Matt Walsh
I saw
only
the
wants you to
10
think
Commandments in the
about
classroom. It says,
the.
"Thou shalt not kill." But you, Mom, told me that abortion is okay. How does that work?
Yes, because kids are gonna totally put that together. They're gonna be like, yes, let me have an abortions debate with my mom. All right, so Louisiana recently passed their recently passed their you will be a Christian in our schools law, mandating that the 10 commandments be put up in every school, yada yada yada. We all, should be rather obvious, unconstitutional. This shouldn't really be a debate. But some on the right, namely the person we're going to watch, Matt Walsh, thinks that this is going to save education in Louisiana. So let's go take a look, shall we?
Here's something to celebrate for a change, something to be happy about. AP reports, although the AP is not happy, Louisiana has become the first state to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom. The latest move from a GOP-dominated legislature pushing a conservative agenda under a new governor. Can you imagine that? The media is shocked and appalled to have Republican legislatures that are actually pushing Republican agendas. And it is shocking. We're not used to this kind of thing historically. Republican.
Oh, and verdict missing. This is another good example. Do a bad thing that's more effective. Be more, like, at the end of the day, like, I would like them to be less effective. This is more effective in getting the things that they want, which are bad. It's not a
legislatures
it's bad, but is it effective?
Agendas.
Yeah.
So anytime you see it happen, it's you're taken aback by it. The legislation the Republican governor Jeff Landry signed into law Wednesday requires a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in large, easily readable fonts in all public classrooms from kindergarten to state-funded universities. Landry said, if you want to respect the rule of law, you've got to start with the original lawgiver, which was Moses. Opponents question.
You think putting the 10 Commandments, a explicitly like Christian religion like document in schools is a good idea? I mean, I certainly do think that we should be teaching theology, but that's not the same thing as like just displaying, the 10 Commandments of one religion. Learning religions is good, but the idea of learning Christianity, well, yeah. What you're describing is theology, which is just the study of like religious doctrine from a like secular lens. Studying religion broadly would be excellent for Americans, but something tells me Louisiana ain't gonna do that.
Questioned the law's constitutionality and vowed to challenge it in court. Proponents said the measure is not solely religious, but that it has historical significance. In the language of the law, the 10 Commandments are foundational documents of our state and national government. The posters,
that's a little bit privileged there, don't you think, Vifra? What if you can't move? Moving from Louisiana, an incredibly poor state, to New York, an incredibly expensive state, then, like, you understand that by that logic, you're just kind of damning a bunch of poor people to just kind of have to live under a, under another's theology. Oh, fair enough.
And also worth noting, under the law, state funds will not be used to implement mandate.
You got me hook, line, and sinker, Vifra. You got me hook, line, and sinker. God damn it! I am. So the law also
displayed on your wall. Display of other items in K through 12 public schools, including
with the fun
Mayflower Compact, which was signed by religious pilgrims
next to the rest of the fish you caught.
It's often referred to as America's first constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Northwest
the
Ordinance,
which established a government in Northwest Territory,
and created a pathway for admitting new states.
Wait, the law also authorizes but does not require the display of other items in K through 12, including the Mayflower Wait, you're not going to require the Mayflower the thing that's actually part of, okay.
States of the Union. So,
shocker there.
You can display that. You don't have to, but you do have to display the 10 Commandments.
Lovely.
So this will obviously be challenged in court.
Fascism, right.
Will it survive the court challenges? I don't know.
Probably not.
It'll be a tough road given the makeup.
It's obviously unconstitutional, you dillweed.
Of the courts.
What? The court? Okay.
Should it survive the challenges? Yes. Of course it should. Now, as you would expect, and as mentioned in the article, people are upset about this policy, and that's not surprising, but it makes a lot of sense. And it
they believe in their
religion,
which I sense don't even really think people
in classrooms than to have, say, pride flags.
I don't think Matt Walsh believes in any of this stuff. I think Matt Walsh believes he can make money off of believing this stuff.
As the moral foundation.
Although, actually, no, I'm willing to say that. I do think Matt Walsh is a theocrat. Like there are people who I definitely think just kind of use religion as their like argument defeater or whatever. But no, I do think Matt Walsh is probably deep down a theocrat. I mean, he's certainly a fascist, so I mean, not too far off the bend there.
System of law. Not just ours, but all of Western civilization. So even if you look at them from a purely secular perspective, from that point of view, you would have to at least acknowledge that they are the most influential set of rules or laws ever set down. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So they are highly relevant from an historical perspective, from a legal perspective, from an anthropological perspective. And that's, again, without even getting into the biblical, moral, spiritual.
They're upset in Louisiana, but my point is the same here in New York, which is the supposed left capital along with California. State tax money funds youth centers that are only open to people of the Jewish religious faith. Isn't that the same exact thing? Same exact thing as what? Like what they're arguing is public schools are forced to hang like religious doctrine in their classrooms. Like the idea that there's like youth centers that are only open to like Jewish community members. I guess like I assume there's I would assume, and I don't know this, that there is money that goes to all youth centers and some of them are locked off to like community members of a church and others are just open to all of the public. But that's like also one of those that's kind of also one of those situations where it's like, no, churches and synagogues and other religions, they should all be paying taxes. They should all 100% be paying taxes. Like they have this weird like private institution but also public institution kind of, they're in this weird gray area that I definitely don't, that I find I take a lot of pause with. Jewish Youth Center. Interesting. I guess if you're in New York, I'm originally from Northern Virginia, so, but like, yeah, that's like kind of normal in New York, is it not? But yeah, I think that's weird. I think youth centers should be open to everybody. I don't mind if it's like, hey, this is, the community was Jewish and it's, you know, history is tied to, you know, the church that's down the street. I got no problem with that. But like regular people should probably, you know, non-Jews should absolutely be able to use the youth center. Like that's ridiculous.
Perspective. And all of that means that it's relevant.
No, they all should, because they don't pay property taxes, and they absolutely should pay property.
They're on
law, American soil. They should pay property tax like the rest of us.
Supposed to be part of a child's education. Every child in school should know the 10 Commandments in order to be literate and to possess the most basic knowledge of history. Okay. Anyway, back to Matt Walsh. Because history, the law, anthropology, all of these things are supposed to be part of a child's education. Right. Every child in school. Do you teach K through 12 anthropology? I can tell you right now, they're not teaching anthropology in Louisiana. Schools should know the 10 Commandments in order to be literate and to possess the most basic knowledge of history and human. Wait. To be literate is to be able to read the 10 Commandments. Matthew, you can learn to read. I learned to read like the Bernstein Bears. What the fuck are you, like, what? Okay. Again, theocrat. It's just a theocrat. In society, you need to know the 10 Commandments. So it should be a part of a child's education. Now, compare this again to, for example, pride flags. Most of the people who oppose 10 Commandments in the classroom support having pride flags in the classroom. And this is an important. I remember everyone talking about like Bernstein or Barnstein or whatever the fuck. I don't know if this is like Bernstein. I'm like, it's Bernstein. That putting the 10 Commandments in the classroom does not need to be a response to anything that the left is doing. It's a good idea on its own terms. But I also think it's highly likely that if the left did not spend the last many years going massively overboard trying to inject even the most radical religion, or are you talking about like broad ideology elements of their ideological agenda into the classroom, if they had not done that? So do you notice like, so man, Matt Walsh is fucking washed, isn't he? Do you notice like no one talks about this guy anymore? And honest to God, as I'm watching this, my eyes are kind of glazing over. I'm kind of just bored with these arguments at this point. Like,
his entire position is, look what you made. It's just wife beating activity. It's just, look what you made me do. You made me enact theocracy because you wanted the gays to feel welcome in the school. You wanted the gays to get married, so I had to create the camps to put them in. That's like, at this point, it's kind of just like, Matthew, just like, come out with it, man. Just be like, look, I think explicitly we should be teaching only Christianity, or whatever denomination he cares about, whatever. And if you don't want to learn that, you should be forced to homeschool your kid at your own expense and everything else. And that's it. And it's like, cool. You're at the, I believe that we should be governed by religious doctrine. That's fine. I don't mind if you want to be honest, Matthew, but just like, come out and say it, man. Like, what are we doing with this? Like, oh, you did this and this is, I had to respond by doing. Just do what you're going to do. Stop being a pussy. Stop being a pussy and blaming everybody else for your theocratic tendencies. Just own it. All right. Own it. God's sakes.
Then, I don't know, would Louisiana have passed this law? Again, they should regardless. But I think there is also an attitude from some on the right, which I totally understand, of course.
I mean, certainly I would say that.
Okay, if this is what you guys are going to do,
I wouldn't say property taxes are racist. They're just,
if you're going to put pride flags in the classroom, then we're putting the 10 Commandments.
It's just a way that we, wait, whoa. Is the acknowledgement of the existence of gay people the same thing as the religious belief in Jesus Christ? Are those two things the same thing? Is one of them an acknowledgement of an identity that we see every single day out in the world, and the other one is a, not to step on any sandals here, but for the most part a fictitious character? I don't know. I just think they're different. I think one's observable and the other one isn't observable after 3 days because he went and disappeared after going in the cave. That's all I'm saying.
And there's a much better argument, of course, for the 10 Commandments than pride flags.
Well, probably
What's the value of a pride flag or any kind of gay pride paraphernalia in the classroom? What's
denomination
the
in the U.S. is the evangelical
church,
of
gay pride have any real
or like the evangelical
relevance?
sect? And they're like hyper Zionist because
it's only
they
like
want to see
5
the
minutes
rapture.
ago that anyone ever talked about gay pride. The concept. Okay, mid 20th century at the earliest is as far as you can go back. You go any farther back.
Somebody's never read Shakespeare.
And that, and you go to anybody and you talk about gay pride, they would look at you like, what do you? They wouldn't even understand what you're saying. So, does it serve as the foundation for?
So what? Who cares? People are uneducated. Who cares? What? Like what? Who gives a shit?
Anything in our society? No. Is there any real academic value to children learning about the pride flag and what it means? If you meet a child who can tell you all about the pride flag and rattle off the history of it and point to different colors and tell you what they stand for.
Our government is not based on the 10 Commandments. Even our Bill of Rights isn't based on the 10 Commandments. Most of it's a lot of it's built on English common law.
On that unfortunate position where they know all that stuff, is that an indication that this is a really well-educated child? And it's also like, it's also not about anything being on your classroom wall that changes your life, Mystic. Like at the end of the day, if somebody hung a Nazi flag, you wouldn't be just ignore it, because that's not how that works. What you put on a classroom wall is indicative of the message and the education that you want to, and the behaviors that you want to reinforce and instill in your students. And if the 10 Commandments are on there, then most likely it's, hey, you should believe in Jesus, whichever denomination it is, you should just believe in Jesus. Yeah, but that's just what is common knowledge then? That's not really, if it's common knowledge, that argument works two ways. It's okay, well then if it's common knowledge, you don't need it on the wall. Then if it's common knowledge, you don't need it in the classroom then. If it's that obvious, you don't need it then. But that also cuts both ways. It's well, in that case, you don't need it, but also then
it's like, all right, if it's common knowledge, then why that specific doctrine? There are tons of doctrines. There's what is it, Justinian's Code? Like, why not post Justinian's Code? Those are also a list of ways to run civil society and how to behave. But we don't, because we just don't. And like, you teach it in history the same way you should teach the 10 Commandments in history, but as a history lesson, not as, again, not as not as doctrine.
No. Can a child be literate and well-informed and educated and yet not know anything about the pride flag? Yes.
Always ask questions.
So it's pretty clear which of the two wins out in this
It's always
contest.
good. Interrogate why you come to the positions you're at.
The child gets through public schooling and graduates, and if he doesn't know anything about the Bible, if he cannot tell you what the 10 Commandments are,
okay,
can't even give you 5 of the 10 or something.
Is that like a big deal? I went to Catholic school. I don't know if I could give you 5 of the 10 Commandments. I'm pretty sure, there's obviously like, no, I actually, like, besides me just memeing and guessing, I probably couldn't name you all of them, because I haven't thought, like, the 10 Commandments don't play into a role in my life because I'm not a Christian. And I think people, when they send their kids to public school, have a right to not have their child evangelized to.
Can't tell you anything about the Bible. Well, then that tells you that his education was sorely lacking. There's a basic level of literacy and historical understanding that he lacks. Now, does it violate the First Amendment to have the 10 Commandments in the classroom? My answer to that is, are you stupid? What kind of question is that?
I mean, you can. Like, if a teacher has them, I don't really, that's kind of arguable. This is the thing also. Think about that. Like, I'm probably the extreme, like, crazy leftist that he's always ranting about. If there's like a teacher who would like to have the 10 Commandments in their classroom, I really don't have a problem with them doing so, as long as they educate properly and in a secular fashion around them. If they're willing to interrogate their religious doctrine from a historical lens to their students, I don't really see much of a problem with that. I would say that's pretty reasonable. But we're not talking about one individual wanting to post the 10 Commandments, because maybe it's just like, it's something that's important to them. We're talking about legislation passed requiring the 10 Commandments, regardless of the religious beliefs of the teachers. And keep in mind, this is from the same crowd who says that they can't hand out, who would venerate that one bitch who wouldn't give out a marriage license to a gay couple because it didn't agree with her religious values. To which it's like, wait a minute. You guys aren't okay with that, but you're okay with this. Okay, you want it both ways. Got it.
I know they're going to be able to find activist judges who say, oh, this is an infringement on the First Amendment.
Activist judges in Louisiana. Leftist activist judges in Louisiana.
But it's still stupid.
Oh, okay.
Of course it does not violate the First Amendment. The First Amendment, what does the First Amendment, when it comes to religion, what prohibitions or restrictions does the First Amendment put on the government? Well, there's one. It forbids Congress 200%. From making a law respecting the establishment of religion. That's what the First Amendment does.
Oh, so it would definitely, I wasn't sure if that was in the clause of the First Amendment. Okay, so that would definitely violate that then, since it's respecting one religion. Yeah, that is kind of.
So we have to.
Maybe Matt Walsh needs to read the 10 Commandments like another 100 times so we can learn how to read.
Ask ourselves, the Louisiana legislature, is it Congress? No. Did they pass a law?
I mean, it's a Congress. It's the Congress of that state, which is still ruled by the Congress of the country. So
respecting an establishment of religion.
I mean, if you want to do the like, religion, but Louisiana says you can't. It's like, right.
So it's got. So
then in that case, does Louisiana have a different First Amendment? Then you can't. Again, Matthew, you can't have it both ways. You can't have parts of the First Amendment and not have others. That's not how that works. You can't go, oh, but it says Congress shall not, and Louisiana isn't Congress as it was understood in the. And it's like, no. In that case, then you're arguing that you do not have a First Amendment right in Louisiana, to which Matt Walsh certainly doesn't believe that. So, no, bud.
got nothing to do with the First Amendment. It is not any kind of infringement on the First Amendment.
It definitely is.
I
But
know in recent times we have been told that really the First Amendment means that religion cannot be acknowledged, can't even be acknowledged in any kind of public setting, particularly in any kind of setting where the government is. The way we look at it now is according to the First
they
Amendment.
teach those from
This is
like a
probably if you talk to
historical
the average
lens or
person, you
from
ask them,
a
like, well, what does the First Amendment say
theological
about religion?
lens.
What restrictions
I don't
are
think
there?
any of your teachers were like,
And they would
yes,
probably tell you
Poseidon
this.
is the
They
king
would
of,
probably tell
king
you
of the
that
state.
basically the First
You
Amendment
need to
says,
pray to
because they've been
him
quoted
if
to
you
but
want
they tell you that
to go
basically the First
fishing
Amendment says the
tomorrow to
government
get-
can't say anything.
to catch
Can't even
good fish.
acknowledge religion. It's like religion doesn't exist as far as the government's concerned.
Well, they don't pay
But
taxes.
that is not the case. And the good news here also is that the Ten Commandments are
Man, my dude
part
is, like,
of
so
multiple
low energy.
major world religions. So that's all the more reason why Louisiana cannot be accused of establishing or respecting imposing a state religion. That's clearly
Well, it is though. It's requiring that a specific piece of religious doctrine be displayed in public schools funded by taxpayers and by the state. So, no, that, or I guess I should, yeah, like, it's clearly illegal. There's like not even a shadow of an argument that it's not. You couldn't make the argument without misunderstanding basically every tenet of the First Amendment.
not happening. All they're really imposing, if anything, is a well-rounded education on children who are in the public school system. Children who will now, because of the Ten Commandments being in the classroom, will now be exposed to such controversial and provocative ideas, such as like, don't kill people, respect your parents.
It doesn't matter. Didn't the 10 weren't the wait a minute. One quick moment, please. We're gonna look because I have a hunch about the 10 Commandments. No, just give me the list. It's cool. You shall have no other gods before me. Oh, wait, no, shut up. Stop it. Okay. You shall have no other gods before me. So the first one is, if you're another religion, you're just wrong. Second one, you shall not make idols. Man, South Korea, fucked. Japan, fucked. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Literally anti-free speech. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Sure, whatever. Honor your father and your mother. Don't know what that one means. You shall not murder. Also, murder was not a word back then. I'm kind of curious the translation of what this actually, or like what this meant, because murder is a very specific legal designation. I'd just be curious. You shall not commit adultery. Yes, the thing that the thing that K through 12 really needs to hear is not to commit adultery. I can't wait for their teachers to have to explain what adultery is to small children. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not convert or covet. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what the covet one. Again, you're going to have to explain all this to kids. So that's going to be fun for Louisiana teachers. And again, even those teachers are now going to have to educate themselves on religious Christian doctrine now.
Don't steal.
Was it just killed? That's what I thought. I was going to say. I feel like it would have been just killed.
That the left is now worried kids might be exposed to. They're going to be confused.
Well, wait, Matt, aren't you always complaining that kids are going to be confused about gender when it's literally just be whatever you want to be? Like, that's literally the answer to, like, how do I explain gender to my kids? Just tell them to be themselves. That's it. Just tell them be themselves. That's it. That's all they got to do. But what if their gender doesn't align with, what if their sex doesn't align with the gender role that they want to play in society? All right, we can like talk about that. Sometimes we're not all built for the roles that we were born with the parts to do those roles with. Happens sometimes. It's not really a hard concept.
And they might be confused. It might create some awkward questions for some of these kids.
Jealous of others.
And that's a good thing if it gets them thinking.
Do you think we could get them thinking about something without incorporating religion? Just a thought.
Who knows?
But
maybe
again,
some of them
Matt
will come
Walsh,
home and they'll say, "Hey,
Matt Walsh
I saw
only
the
wants you to
Ten
think
Commandments in the
about
classroom that says, thou shalt not kill." But you, Mom, told me that abortion is okay. How does that work?
Ah, yes. Because kids are gonna totally put that together. They're gonna be like, ah, yes, let me get into let me have an abortions debate with my mom. Fuck, dude. This dude's so fucking cooked, man.
Maybe we'll get some of the kids to ask those questions to their parents.
Like, I'm being genuine when I say,
Will not be able to
my
answer.
dude is like so low energy. It's kind of shocking, the fall off, right? Like, there was nothing there. It was just theocracy, theocracy, theocracy. That's it. That's all he has. It's kind of sad. But, you know, I mean, you know, we love to see him be ineffective and fall off. We'd love to see it. But, hello. You've made it to the end of the video. Something that only the strongest and elite of YouTube viewers make it to. So, as a reward, I will bestow upon you some wisdom, some guidance. You should subscribe to this channel. You should do it like right now. It told you to do it earlier, but like you were so good, you blew past that, like a pro esports player. You blew past that first ask and made it all the way here to the boss. And now the door opened behind me, and I think something is going to come and get me unless you subscribe.